Hello, YouTube. This is an alcohol review of Bombay Sapphire London Dry Gin. There we are. According to the bottle, 750 ml, 47% alcohol by volume, imported from England. Tantalizingly smooth, complex taste. The experience when you sip Bombay Sapphire, described as fresh citrus, blah blah blah, based on our secret 1761 recipe, 10 extract botanicals, hand selected, blah blah blah, vapor infused, not a clue what that means. All this care, expertise combined to give you Bombay Sapphire its distinctive taste, which perfectly complements the zesty lemon in the refreshing Bombay Sapphire Collins. And the Collins, of course, as you know, is nothing more than a solution. Usually it's on a sour note. You can get yourself a vodka Collins, whiskey Collins, a gin Collins, which I did not know. And all around, when in my younger days, the very younger days, was one of my favorite drinks, was a Collins. Hated the glass. If ever the bartender was smart enough to put it into a Collins glass, which curves a little extra, so you're almost tilting a little farther than you would want, but the drink was good, and that's what counted. So, according to more on the label, hand selected botanicals, we're looking at grains of paradise, cubeb berries, cassia bark, almonds, licorice, juniper berries, lemon peel, coriander, angelica, which I've never heard of, orris, also never heard of. But I'll go into this. As you may well know, or may not know, doesn't really matter actually, I'm not a huge gin fan. I find it to be too piney due to the juniper berries. Bombay Sapphire came on my radar because of one of my favorite authors, a gentleman by the name of Richard Marcinko. Now, if you are a fan of intrigue, action, think Tom Clancy, that you should put Richard Marcinko on your radar, as it were. Except read Marcinko as, how to put it, a forbidden fruit, as it were. Tom Clancy, the hero, is very much so like a ninja in the field. You don't hear him walking through dry leaves and that sort of thing. Marcinko, you're amazed that he's alive. And according to much of his writings, these are actual encounters he has done, being a former Navy SEAL counter-terrorist. He just leaves out certain details so he won't get in trouble, as he claims. But the rest of it, he claims is, it's fiction, when really, who knows how much is not. But the point is, when you read what he does and how much of a disaster this guy is, and how much more of a danger to himself than he is to anybody else around him, and it still gets the job done. And then you go to Tom Clancy, which is total fiction, and you're going, no, I'll stick with Marcinko because that's real. That's absolutely real life. Like I said, Tom Clancy, make no sound, dry leaves fall, and they're like on their bellies sliding down a hill. No one knows they're even there. Marcinko, he's in the belly of a transport plane flying overhead somewhere in the Pacific. They're gonna kick out on a high-low parachute thing, and he loses track of time. He's just too preoccupied and making sure all the equipment's ready that next thing you know, the back door drops open, so the plane decompressurizes. He's not made aware because he's not paying attention. He ends up taking the hose from his mask, plugs it into a side wall thing, only to find out it's broken. It's one thing after another after another. You're going, yeah, on a bad day, I can see that happening. Well, his drink of choice is Bombay Sapphire. And that's what put it on my radar years and years and years ago. I don't think Marcinko has written a current book in 5, maybe 10 years. He, ants. He, came out of the Vietnam era as a frogman. No, as one of the early SEALs. So he's quite up there in years, and thus it's amazing that he was still writing exploits as late as he was. But even at that, you could tell time was, chipping away at his abilities. Alrighty, here we have here a beautiful clear liquid, which is noted for gin. Gin tends to be clear. Gin versus anything else, from my simple elementary understanding, is that it is a neutral spirit. Your guess on how they make that is varied as all the different recipes out there that there is to make a neutral spirit. And then they just simply add in flavorings until somebody goes, that tastes great. And then off it runs. In this case, it took based on our 1761 recipe, 10 different spices where somebody yelled, hey, that's good. Presumably. But crystal clear, like it should be. Pine tree. Smells like a pine tree. Pine tree with lemons. It's a lemon sprouting pine tree. And licorice. And there's a burn to it. What is the alcohol on this again? 47. Okay. That makes it an adult beverage. Which also explains the burn on the nose. Now, the way I normally like Bombay Sapphire, and I know to some people it's going to be a crime, is mixed in with some sort of cocktail. A lemon lime type cola is great. Take this, mix it with ginger beer, and you have the foundations for a drink called a Shady Grove. Now, Shady Groves, you add a little here, a little there of different other ingredients, but primarily it's gin and ginger beer. I had it recently and was surprised at how lifeless the flavor is. Considering it's ginger beer and considering all the pine, it really neutralizes each other out, which would explain some of the other recipes that talked about powdered sugar and other things added too. It's like, all right, now we're starting to get somewhere. But when I just did the foundations, it really neutralized itself. Now, it's licorice battling for its life against juniper berries. Hints of lemon cleaning up the blood that's left over on the floor from the two duking it out. And past that, it's a little syrupy on the tongue. Just a hint. But yeah, classic juniper berries. Now, one would think an individual like myself who spent a large part of his childhood growing up in a part of the empire where pine trees are king, I would have a love for it. I don't mind the smell of pine. I just mind the taste. And to be honest, it's not bad. Other gins, you just walk away being slapped in the face with a pine branch. This isn't. It's there as part of the flavors. It's there as a compliment, versus the other whatnot that they have as flavors combined. But it's not. It is overbearing, but it's not obtrusive. It's not insultingly there. When you taste it, you're like, yes, that is a gin, but at least I can have another sip of it. Add ice to it. It's got a lot of fire, a lot of bite, very, very short hang time. Add the ice to it. It should tame that down. So as a standalone, I suggest having it on ice. But mainly, have it in a cocktail. In a cocktail, it plays well with a variety of other flavors. Neat. It's a fighter. And it's easier taste buds as competition. So, you're in for a bout unless you can figure some way to tamper it down, to declaw it, if you will. And I suggest, with just a little bit here, half an ice cube, which will be practically half of what's in the Glencairn already. So, go for it that way. But definitely a lemon lime cola. They go very well together. Or, like I said, a ginger beer. Make it into a Shady Grove cocktail. Also tasty, but like I said, a little light on flavor. They kind of neutralize each other, but still not bad. Give it a try. See what you think. This is Bombay Sapphire, London Dry Gin, vapor infused, in the pretty blue bottle. And see what you think. Any comments down below will be warmly accepted, as always. Or better yet, go out, buy it, try it, and let the rest of us in the YouTube spirits community know your thoughts on Bombay Sapphire Gin, and see if it's worth the price. Like I said, Bombay comes in two that I'm aware of: the Sapphire and not Sapphire. And in my humble opinion, the Sapphire is better. I believe it also costs a little bit more, but it's here nor there. See what you think. It is a classic gin without overly hitting in the face with gin, the juniper berries that make up gin. But it is what it is. It is a cat with spots, and no matter how much it tries to tell you it's got stripes, it's got spots. It is gin. Mix it, tasty, straight. Try your luck. But until next time, keep on drinking.